One of the elites doesn't play anyone close to elite non-conference, but the Big Ten schedule makes up for it. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, breaking down every schedule in the Power 5 like nobody else. We are ranking the schedules as well. 70 all the way up to number 1. We have not addressed this series for quite some time, so bear with us. We are going to pick it right back up, and we have with our last video at number 19. We're at the 18th most difficult schedule in college football, despite no Power 5s in the non-conference. How can that be? Well, I will explain in just a second, but first I must explain, for your benefit long-term, that you can help us build the channel by grabbing the Amazon link in the description section below. Do your Amazon shopping, or if you're not the person in the household that does the shopping, somebody else does, get them that link and ask them to shop at Amazon. It's the same experience, doesn't cost you a penny more. Use that link. Thank you so much. Also, our exclusive live streams at the Voice of College Football community. That link is below as well. All right. The 18th most difficult schedule in college football in 2019 belongs to the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's number 4 in the Big Ten. There are no Power 5 conference games on the schedule non-conference, so that's a shame. We watch college football to see the best play the best, especially in the non-conference games. Once the leagues go into their silos and play just conference games, it's difficult to get a read on how good the particular teams are against other teams, and that's the comparison. Once college football playoff selection time comes, and it's involved this team every time. Think about this. Ohio State has been on that line every year. Alabama's been over the line. They've been a slam dunk selection just about every time, except 2017. They should not have been selected. There are other teams that have obviously 98% of college football is below the line. They don't get any consideration. Ohio State has been on that line. They have been a controversial selection or rejection every year, 2014, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And this schedule is not going to do them any favors non-conference. They do have a date with Cincinnati on September 7th after the opener against Lane Kiffin's Owls of Florida Atlantic on August 31st. Of course, the Owls, coming off a big 11-win season in 2017, went to Oklahoma. A lot of people like that as an upset, and they got blasted in the first quarter by Kyler Murray and company and finished 5-7. So FAU at Ohio State on August 31st, followed by a pretty good matchup against Cincinnati. So I understand that Cincinnati is better, or should be this season. They certainly were last year in going 11-2, better than, what would you say, about a third of the Power 5 teams. They beat a 6-6 Virginia Tech team in the bowl game. So Cincinnati's a quality opponent, but they are not a Power 5 team, and they probably would rank somewhere around 50th to 55th in the country. And that's Ohio State's most difficult non-conference game. 2 weeks later, they play Miami of Ohio on September 21st after the Big Ten opener at Indiana. Of course, the Hoosiers are looking for their first win over the Buckeyes, the Wolverines, the Nittany Lions, one of the big three in the Big Ten East. They did beat Michigan State a few years ago, but they struggled with them as well. But Indiana continually plays these programs tough, including Ohio State. Forget what you see on the scores. The games have been close with about 10 minutes left. Indiana gets their next shot at the Buckeyes at home in Bloomington on September 14th. All right, the Buckeyes take on a team that is being targeted to be the 2017 version of Iowa or the 2018 version of Purdue. And that's a road date with Scott Frost, Adrian Martinez, and Nebraska in Lincoln, September 28th. That most likely will be a night game. Ohio State at Nebraska, huge game for the Buckeyes, huge game for Nebraska, improving itself. And, of course, the Huskers played the Buckeyes tough. And that was a 4-8 team that was playing much better in November, played the Buckeyes tough in Columbus 36-31 last year. Then Ohio State takes on old nemesis Michigan State October 5th. The Buckeyes have had their way in 2016, 17, and 18 against Sparty. Then they've got an open date before two very difficult Big Ten Western Division foes going to Northwestern on a Friday night. Interesting Big Ten scheduling the Buckeyes to go to Northwestern on a Friday night and then come home for Wisconsin the next week. So the October slate is extremely difficult with Nebraska the last few days of September, Michigan State bye week, Northwestern, Wisconsin. So the thing that saves the Buckeyes in between what would be a brutal 4-game stretch is the bye week in between the 4 games. So Nebraska, Michigan State bye week, and then on the road to Ryan Field before they've got the Badgers at home. All right, open day to begin November. Maryland, Rutgers, and of course the Buckeyes struggled with the Terps and escaped 52-51. This time they've got Maryland at home. They go to Rutgers, the worst team in the Big Ten, maybe the worst team in the Power 5. Let's correct that. The worst team in the Power 5 last year. And then what is an interesting aspect of this schedule is before the Michigan game, Ohio State typically plays Penn State early in the Big Ten schedule. Of course, that's been a 1-point game in which they were trailing by either 2 or 3 scores in the fourth quarter the last 2 years against Penn State and pulled it out 27-26 and 39-38 2 years ago in Columbus. That the Buckeyes play Penn State at home before going to the Big House in Ann Arbor in what could decide the Big Ten Eastern Division. Certainly, you would expect the Big Ten East is going to be decided the last 2 weeks of the seasons again against Penn State and Michigan. It's been decided in 2016 and 18 against Michigan on that final weekend. All right, Ohio State, because of the Big Ten Eastern Division power and because of having to play what is most likely the 3 best teams in the Big Ten Western Division, my apologies to Iowa, the most likely 3 best teams in the Big Ten West, Ohio State has to deal with Nebraska and Northwestern on the road and Wisconsin. That certainly counters the non-conference issue with Ohio State not playing any non-conference games against the Power 5 and just the Cincinnati game at home on September 7th. It's the 4th most difficult schedule in the Big Ten. It's number 18 in college football. It belongs to Ohio State. Okay, my disclaimer right here is I made these projections back in April/May. These were intended to be my spring projections. That's when I started this series, way back with schedule number 70. We're 52 schedules later, 52 videos later as well, with schedule number 18, and it's taken us a while. So this is not my final prediction, but Ohio State fans, you're going to go 10-2, 7-2 in the Big Ten. That's my projection right now for Ohio State football in Ryan Day's inaugural performance in Columbus. Your thoughts about Ohio State football, please leave them below. And we will be back with schedule number 17 very soon.